This is an NV4500 transmission, a 5-speed from a Dodge Ram. And this is the aluminum adapter housing that bolts to the back of the transmission here. And then the transfer case bolts to the other side of the adapter housing. So I want to replace this one with this one. And I found this one really cheap online. And this is cast iron. And because of the cost, I was wondering, well, I was hoping that it was at least made correctly. And what I mean by that is that the shaft where it runs through the casting, that it's in the same location in relation to the bolt holes. So there's a set of bolts here and also around here. You know, if it's made offset, you know, it could damage the transmission or the transfer case or both. So I was trying to come up with a way to take a reference off of this one, transfer it to this one, and see how they line up. So this is what I'm using for a reference. So I'll slide this in here, and this is actually where the seal goes. And in this one, there's a very slight amount of play. And so what I do is I'll take a reading from the original. And this one fits a little snugger, and I have to actually seat it with a mallet. It's almost nicely in there, but I think it's best that I seat that with a mallet and then okay, so I'm going to lay some paper over here and then put some bolts through the paper and then kind of take a mark off of this. So I'm going to just kind of make a crease around that area. And a little bit of dirty hands that helps to define that mark a little better. Okay, so I should actually make a mark which end is which. Now I'm going to transfer this to the other one. Alright, so I'm going to make another mark and then see how they line up. Yeah, this housing was under $100 US online. So I did this earlier, just on this one side, and I saw that there was a very slight difference, but now I'm not seeing a difference at all. Maybe I can zoom in here a bit. me get my glasses. Wow, actually that looks like a perfect match. So there is a little bit of play in this one because that opening for the seal is cut slightly bigger than the aluminum housing, and so there is a little bit of room for error as far as that, like just where that shaft sits in there. But as far as this way, I mean, that actually looks like a really nice match. Okay, so I want to check the other side as well. Okay, before I test the other side, I thought, well, maybe I could take some masking tape and go once around with the tape to take up the slack. But I suspect that the tape may actually be too thick, but I'll try it. I'll go once around with the tape and then see how that works. Okay, test fitting with the tape. Where's the seam? Here. So it's not overlapping. All right. Oh, it fits in there. But that's a nice snug fit now. I'll just tap it with the mallet a little bit. I think it's already seated though. But now I don't feel the play in it like I did before. So that should have centered it. I'll get that paper back on here, and then I'll check it once more, and I'll see if something different happens. Before I continue, I redid the tape. I was concerned that maybe the tape was actually sitting underneath that lip just a little bit. So I'll get this in here now. That fits nice. You can see a little bit of mark there beside from one of my fingernails or thumbnail, but the mark, like the crease around the edge, I think that's a match. Alright, so I'm also interested in the other side as well. Here's another reference that I was taking, and it's there's a little gap right here. So I'll check it compared to the other one. So now I want to have something bolted here to keep this thing down in place, and then flip it over and then do a similar test with the paper on the other side. So I've got this board bolted on there, creating some tension onto that shaft. So I'll flip it over now and then continue on. So here on the other side, the shaft, it seems fairly secure, being bolted with that board on the other side. So I haven't tested this side yet. I only did the other one before I started making the video. And so basically a repeat here. So before I bolt that board on there, I was going to take a measurement here. So I had about 30 thou on the other one. I would say it's slightly tighter. Well, here it seems okay. Seems like about, here it actually seems like a loose 30 thou. I would think that that's a pretty good match. Alright, so I'll get that board bolted on here. So the shaft is secure in this housing as well. Here's that sample. So this is on the transmission side, and now you see there's two lines. So something is off, and it could actually be the way that this shaft seats into that seal opening. So I've got this adapter housing mounted to the transmission with 4 bolts, and I'm also using the alignment dowels. So what I'm thinking of doing is maybe I go back to the machine shop and get them to make me a bushing that slides in here where the seal goes, and leave an opening for the shaft so it can just slide over there, and that would give me a better way to measure. You know, if I had just a little bit of gap around here, I could get a pretty quick visual and maybe be able to measure it with a feeler gauge. So I do know that the shaft that I had to use a mallet to fit into the aluminum housing, it did require a little bit of effort to get it in there. Maybe that shaft was not properly seated into the aluminum housing. I suspect that may be part of the problem. However, I don't know. I'm suspicious enough now that I want to continue investigating. So I think this bushing here would help to solve the mystery. But it may not be this adapter housing at all. Maybe it was the way that shaft was seated in that aluminum housing. So I would like to get this bushing made, and then that would give me a better idea on what's going on here. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking in.